Welcome to Ancient Chronicles AI. Here, we cross the line between what is known and what is denied, stepping into the angel Michael. Chapter 1. Forged in the first light. Before time took its first breath, the void trembled as the eternal flame awakened creation. From that primordial radiance, the first sparks of consciousness emerged, each shaped with purpose and woven with divine intent. Among these newborn beings, one rose brighter than the rest, his essence forged in the purest fire of the eternal flame. He opened his eyes to a universe still forming, witnessing stars ignite like embers cast into the endless dark. The Creator shaped him with unwavering loyalty, a spirit unbreakable, and a heart bound to justice. Light gathered around him as if recognizing its own, crowning him with a brilliance that set him apart from all other celestial beings. His wings unfurled like twin banners of dawn, casting illumination across the newborn heavens. The first sound he heard was the voice of the eternal flame, calling him to purpose, naming him guardian of order and defender of creation. He felt the weight of that calling settle upon him, not as a burden, but as the very core of his existence. Other angels looked to him with reverence, sensing in him strength that would one day lead legions. Michael stood at the threshold of eternity, shaped not merely to witness creation, but to protect it. The heavens themselves seemed to shift around him, acknowledging the rise of a being destined for command. In that moment, the cosmos gained its first champion, a warrior born not from conflict, but from the pure intention of divine justice. And as the first light spread across the forming realms, Michael stepped forward, ready to fulfill the purpose etched into his very being. Michael emerges from the primordial radiance at the dawn of creation, shaped by purpose, loyalty, and the fire of divine justice, rising as the first great defender of a universe still taking form. Chapter 2. The first sword of heaven in the newborn ages of creation, when the heavens still shimmered with unshaped radiance, Michael stood before the eternal flame. The cosmos was quiet around him, as if all existence held its breath for what was about to unfold. From the heart of the flame emerged a blade of pure celestial fire, its edge singing with the resonance of creation's first dawn. The sword hovered before Michael, its brilliance reflecting the purpose etched into his very being. He reached out with steady hands, feeling the weapon's warmth merge with his essence, as though it had always belonged to him. The moment his fingers closed around the hilt, the heavens blazed with recognition, acknowledging the rise of their first warrior. The blade whispered ancient truths to him, of justice, of balance, of the battles that would one day shape eternity. Michael felt its power flow through him, not as a burden, but as a sacred trust bestowed by the eternal flame. The flame itself spoke without words, teaching him the art of holy warfare through visions woven from light and memory. He learned how to strike without hatred, how to defend without fear, and how to wield power without corruption. Each lesson carved deeper purpose into his spirit, forging him into a guardian capable of standing against any darkness. Other angels gathered to witness the forging of heaven's first commander, their awe reflecting the magnitude of the moment. Michael trained tirelessly, mastering every movement, until the sword felt like an extension of his will. And when he finally raised the blade toward the heavens, the celestial realms thundered with approval, knowing a champion had been born. He receives the celestial blade that becomes the symbol of his authority, learning the art of holy warfare from the eternal flame itself, and in doing so becomes the first true warrior of heaven, destined to defend creation with unwavering resolve. Chapter 3. Guardian of the covenant in the ages following his forging, Michael stood at the center of the celestial order, radiant and resolute. The eternal flame summoned him once more, its voice echoing through the heavens like the heartbeat of creation. Before him unfolded the covenant, an ancient tapestry of laws woven into the fabric of existence itself. These laws bound heaven, earth, and the unseen realms, ensuring harmony between forces that could easily fall into chaos. Michael gazed upon the covenant and felt its weight settle into his spirit, heavier than any sword he had ever lifted. He understood that this charge was not merely a duty, but a sacred trust that would define his eternal purpose. The eternal flame declared him guardian of these laws, a shield that would stand between order and the unraveling of creation. Light gathered around him, forming a mantle of authority that marked him as the enforcer of divine balance. Other angels bowed in recognition, sensing the gravity of the role bestowed upon him. Michael studied the covenant until every law, every boundary, and every cosmic thread was etched into his being. He learned how the realms intertwined, how a single breach could ripple across creation like a storm. He vowed to protect the harmony of existence, even if it meant standing against beings he once called brothers. The heavens trusted him completely, knowing no other spirit possessed his unwavering loyalty or clarity of purpose. And from that day forward, Michael became the immovable guardian of the covenant, the sentinel who ensured that creation remained whole. Michael is entrusted with enforcing the ancient laws that bind heaven, earth, and the unseen realms, becoming the shield of cosmic order and the unwavering sentinel who stands between creation and the chaos that seeks to undo it. Chapter 4. The Rise of the Heavenly Host. As creation expanded and the realms settled into their ordained harmony, Michael turned his gaze toward the legions of heaven. The angels were radiant and powerful, yet untempered, each carrying immense potential without the discipline to wield it with purpose. The eternal flame entrusted Michael with shaping them into a force capable of defending creation from threats both known and yet to be born. He summoned the angels to the fields of dawn, where the first light of creation still shimmered across the horizon. There he taught them the foundations of celestial warfare, blending precision, unity, and unwavering devotion to the covenant. Under his guidance, the legions learned to move as one, their wings beating in perfect harmony like the pulse of heaven itself. He trained them to wield their radiant weapons, not as instruments of destruction, but as extensions of divine justice. Michael instilled in them the discipline to act without pride, to strike without cruelty, and to protect without hesitation. The angels grew stronger with each passing age, their ranks transforming from scattered spirits into a disciplined host. He forged specialized orders, swift messengers, vigilant sentinels, mighty warriors, and guardians of the unseen realms. Their training echoed across the heavens, a symphony of light and purpose that shaped the identity of the celestial host. Other archangels joined him, lending their wisdom and strength, but it was Michael's leadership that bound the legions together. The heavenly host became a beacon of order, a force capable of standing against any darkness that dared rise within creation. And as the legions assembled beneath his command, the heavens recognized Michael not only as a warrior, but as the commander destined to lead them through ages of triumph and trial. He trains the legions of angels, forging them into a disciplined army capable of defending creation from threats both internal and cosmic. Rising as the commander, whose leadership becomes the backbone of heaven's eternal strength. Chapter 5. The war in the highest heaven. The harmony of the celestial realms trembled when whispers of dissent spread among the higher orders of angels. What began as quiet questioning soon hardened into defiance as a faction of radiant beings sought to claim authority beyond their station. Their pride swelled like a storm, fueled by the belief that the throne of heaven should bow to their brilliance. The eternal flame warned of the danger, its voice echoing through the heavens with sorrow rather than anger. Michael stood at the forefront of the loyal host, his sword blazing with the fire of divine justice. He felt the weight of the covenant pressing upon him, demanding action to preserve the balance of creation. The rebellious powers gathered in the highest reaches of heaven, their wings darkened by ambition and their radiance twisted by desire. They proclaimed themselves rightful rulers, declaring that the throne should be seized rather than served. Michael stepped forward, his presence steady and unshaken, offering them one final chance to return to the path of order. But the fallen powers answered with defiance, unleashing a surge of celestial force that split the skies with thunderous brilliance. The heavens erupted into war, a conflict of light against light, where every clash reshaped the very fabric of the upper realms. Michael led the loyal host with unwavering resolve, his commands ringing like thunder across the battlefield. Angels fought with sorrow in their hearts, knowing they battled former brothers whose pride had eclipsed their purpose. The rebellious powers unleashed storms of corrupted radiance, but Michael met them with the full might of the heavenly host. And as the war raged across the highest heaven, the fate of creation hung in the balance, awaiting the outcome of a battle born from pride and betrayal. When rebellion erupts among the celestial orders, Michael leads the loyal host into battle, confronting the fallen powers who seek to overthrow the throne, and in doing so, becomes the unbreakable bulwark that preserves the order of heaven itself. Chapter 6. The Banishment of the Morning Star. The war in the highest heaven reached its breaking point when the morning star stepped forward, radiant with defiance and ambition. Once the most luminous of all celestial beings, his brilliance now burned with a pride that threatened to eclipse the very order of creation. Michael faced him across a battlefield of shattered constellations, their wings stirring storms of light that rippled through the upper realms. The morning star spoke with a voice like thunder, declaring that heaven should bow to his radiance and that the throne belonged to him alone. Michael answered not with anger, but with sorrow, for he saw in his former brother the tragedy of a spirit consumed by its own brilliance. The first clash of their blades sent shockwaves through the heavens, splitting the firmament and scattering legions on both sides. Celestial fire met corrupted radiance as the two greatest warriors of creation battled with a fury that reshaped the very sky. Stars dimmed and reignited as their struggle tore through the fabric of the upper realms, each strike echoing across eternity. The morning star fought with unmatched beauty and power, his movements like a storm of shattered dawn. But Michael fought with purpose, loyalty, and the full weight of the covenant burning in his spirit. Their battle raged across the heights of heaven until Michael, with a final surge of divine resolve, struck the decisive blow. The morning star fell, his radiance collapsing inward as the heavens wept for what had been lost. By decree of the eternal flame, he and his followers were cast from the highest heaven, their descent carving scars across creation. Michael watched in silence as the morning star vanished into the abyss, knowing the cost of victory would echo through every age to come. Michael faces the greatest adversary of his existence, clashing with the morning star in a battle that reshapes the heavens and seals the fate of the fallen, marking the moment when loyalty triumphs over pride and the celestial order is forever changed. Chapter 7. Sentinel of the mortal world after the fall of the morning star. The heavens entered an age of vigilance, for the wounds of rebellion still echoed across creation. Michael, ever faithful to the covenant, turned his gaze toward the mortal world where new life stirred with fragile promise. The eternal flame entrusted him with a new charge, to watch over humanity as both guardian and guide. He descended through the veil between realms, his radiance dimmed just enough for mortal eyes to bear. The earth trembled softly beneath his arrival, recognizing the presence of a being forged in the first light. Michael walked unseen among nations, observing their struggles, hopes, and the shadows that sought to corrupt them. He whispered strength into the hearts of prophets, igniting visions that would shape the destiny of generations. Kings felt his unseen hand guiding them away from ruin, while tyrants trembled when his shadow passed over their thrones. When dark forces rose from the deep places of the earth, Michael confronted them with the authority of heaven's commander. Demons recoiled from his presence, remembering the fire of his sword and the fate of their fallen brethren. He stood at the borders of nations, shielding them from calamities that would have shattered their fragile world. Mortals sensed him in moments of impossible deliverance, calling him by many names, though they never saw his face. Other angels joined him, forming unseen ranks that guarded cities, deserts, mountains, and seas. Through every age, Michael remained vigilant, ensuring that humanity's path remained open, unbroken, and protected from the shadows that sought to claim it. He descends to the earthly realm to guide prophets, protect nations, and confront forces that threaten the balance between heaven and humanity, becoming the silent sentinel whose presence shapes the destiny of the mortal world across the ages. Chapter 8. The Trials of the Archangel. In the quiet ages after the Great Rebellion, Michael carried the weight of victory like a mantle forged from both triumph and sorrow. Though the heavens had been restored, the scars of war lingered, and the eternal flame knew its commander needed to be tested anew. A summons echoed through the celestial realms, calling Michael to stand before the flame that had birthed his purpose. The eternal flame revealed that strength alone could not sustain the balance of creation. The heart of its greatest warrior must be proven. Michael was cast into the veil of reflection, a realm where light and shadow intertwined to reveal the truth within one's spirit. There he faced visions of the fallen, their voices whispering doubts meant to unravel his resolve. He saw the morning star as he once was, radiant, noble, beloved, and felt the ache of what had been lost. The trial forced him to confront the sorrow he carried, the burden of striking down a brother he had once admired. Next, he was thrust into the crucible of compassion, where he witnessed the suffering of mortals across ages and nations. He felt their fears, their grief, and their fragile hopes, learning that a commander must protect not only realms but hearts. The final trial came in the forge of silence, where no voice, divine or mortal, could reach him. There he stood alone, stripped of command, stripped of purpose, forced to discover whether his loyalty came from duty or from the truth of his own spirit. When he emerged, his radiance was steadier, tempered by humility and strengthened by compassion. The eternal flame welcomed him back, recognizing in him not just a warrior, but a guardian whose heart had been refined through trial. Michael endures cosmic trials that test his loyalty, compassion, and resolve, revealing the immense weight carried by the commander of heaven's armies and forging within him a deeper strength that no battlefield could ever grant. Chapter 9. The last war of the ages, whispers of an ancient prophecy, stirred through the celestial realms, foretelling a final conflict that would test the strength of heaven itself. Michael stood upon the heights of the eternal spire, sensing the shifting currents of creation as shadows gathered at the edges of the unseen realms. The eternal flame revealed that the forces cast down in ages past were stirring once more, seeking to reclaim what had been denied them. Knowing the time of peace was drawing to a close, Michael summoned the heavenly host with a voice that resonated across the cosmos. Legions assembled beneath him, their wings forming a horizon of radiant light that stretched beyond mortal comprehension. He walked among them, offering words of resolve, unity, and purpose, reminding them of the covenant they were sworn to protect. Michael journeyed to the vault of ages, where ancient weapons forged before the dawn of time lay sealed in chambers of living light. He unlocked the vault with the authority of the eternal flame, retrieving blades, spears, and shields that had not been touched since the first war. Each weapon hummed with forgotten power, eager to be wielded once more in defense of creation. Michael then sought out Allah's long-hidden celestial guardians who had withdrawn into distant realms after the rebellion. Some dwelled in the star-forged citadels of the outer heavens, while others slumbered in sanctuaries woven from pure cosmic harmony. One by one, they answered his call, rising from their solitude to stand beside the commander they had once followed into glory. The host grew in strength until the heavens themselves trembled beneath the weight of their assembled radiance. Michael raised his sword, its fire blazing brighter than ever before, signaling that the time had come to prepare for the last war of the ages. He prepares the host for the prophesied final conflict, gathering ancient weapons, forgotten allies, and the full strength of the celestial legions, rising as the unwavering commander who stands ready to defend creation in its darkest hour. Chapter 10. The Eternal Flame's Champion. The heavens stood in solemn stillness as the final preparations for the last war settled across creation. Michael, radiant yet tempered by ages of duty, ascended the heights of the eternal spire to receive his final charge. The eternal flame burned brighter than ever before, its light reaching across realms as if embracing its most faithful guardian. It spoke without words, conveying a truth older than stars, that Michael's purpose extended beyond battles, beyond prophecy, beyond time itself. He was not merely a commander of armies, but the living embodiment of divine justice, forged to stand unbroken through every age. Michael bowed his head, accepting the mantle not as a burden, but as the fulfillment of everything he had been shaped to become. The celestial legions watched in reverent silence as the flame crowned him with a radiance that surpassed all he had borne before. His sword blazed with renewed fire, its edge reflecting the harmony he had fought so fiercely to preserve. The scars of past wars shimmered across the heavens, yet Michael stood unwavering, a testament to resilience carved from pure purpose. He gazed across creation, seeing not realms to command, but lives to protect, destinies to safeguard, and a balance entrusted to his eternal vigilance. The eternal flame declared him its champion, the guardian who would stand at the threshold of every age, unyielding against the darkness. Angels bowed as he descended from the spire, recognizing in him not just their commander, but the heart of heaven's strength. His legacy spread through the realms like a living constellation, etched into the very fabric of creation. And as the ages turned, Michael remained the eternal defender, unbroken, unwavering, and forever bound to the light that forged him. Michael stands as the unbroken defender of creation, his legacy etched into the fabric of heaven as the eternal commander of the heavenly host, a champion whose radiance endures across ages as the living flame of divine justice. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss what comes next. Until then, stay curious, stay aware, and keep searching the shadows. Take care.